It's no secret that King Dedede and Meta Knight are well-known friends and allies of Kirby, but that's just one side of their relationship. The King and the Knight also share a friendly rivalry with Kirby, sometimes through minor competitions or tests of strength. But what is it about Dedede and Meta Knight that makes their friendly rivalry with Kirby work? And what impact does it have on their overall character? Well, sit back, relax, and let's start with the first of Kirby's two friendly rivals. While nowadays, Kirby and King Dedede are on friendlier terms with each other, there are also implications that he doesn't want to show weakness or wants to prove that he can best Kirby. Their first bout against each other is in Kirby's Dreamland, where Kirby has to take back all the food King Dedede stole. Most of their bouts in the main games afterwards are against Dedede's own will, either being possessed or mind controlled. Although when it comes to crystal shards, the official Japanese website gives a little more insight on Dedede's thoughts and feelings after he loses to Kirby again. Dedede states that he felt disappointed that he lost to Kirby, but joins the adventure out of worry for the group collecting crystal shards on their own. On one side, it shows that the king has changed a bit since being a food thief in Kirby's Dreamland, but on another side, it also shows Dedede's pride in his strength and how he feels when he's not able to demonstrate it through victory, especially towards Kirby. But one game where the rivalry truly shines is Kirby Superstar Ultra's Revenge of the King. The main event is with the king himself. King Dedede wants to settle the score with Kirby once and for all in a fair fight, one where both sides are on equal footing and giving it their all. To emphasize this, he pulls a Meta Knight and tells Kirby to arm himself with a hammer, Dedede's own signature weapon. There was nothing stopping Dedede from not giving Kirby a weapon, but this battle isn't just about victory. It's about the king taking pride in his strength and settling the score with Kirby once and for all. Of course, Dedede loses to Kirby in the end, but it's only after this that Kirby and King Dedede share more of a friendly rivalry with each other. They interact with each other on mostly more peaceful terms, helping each other out, or just being chill with him in general. But that doesn't mean Dedede's desire to compete with Kirby is completely gone. In Planet Robobot, King Dedede's only appearance is in the opening, but in Rhythm Route, Dedede, one of the game's antagonists, sends out a clone of King Dedede on Kirby. It's an imperfect clone of Dedede, only carrying over certain parts of his personality, but one of them, as told by Susie, is that the clone holds a certain grudge against Kirby. Like the game says, they're all incomplete copies due to over-exaggerating on other elements of Dedede's personality. But what this could imply is, well, Dedede and Kirby are on much better terms with each other. Deep down, Dedede does still feel a desire to prove his strength over Kirby, hence why their relationship is more of a friendly rivalry. Dedede has a desire to prove that he can best Kirby and even the score with him. It's just that nowadays, it's less antagonistic and more of an act of competition. And one spin-off that shows this is Kirby Battle Royale. Dedede hosts a tournament he calls Dedede's Cake Royale, where Kirby has to duke it out against copies of himself to win a delicious deluxe-sized cake. As Kirby keeps winning the different tournaments, you get scenes where Dedede wants to break Kirby's constant wins against him once and for all, to show how much Dedede wants to win against Kirby. Eventually, Dedede has enough of just sitting on the sidelines and takes Kirby on himself, not wanting to give up his chances to settle the score with him, using a giant Megaviz called the Dedede Destroyer Z. But even after the battle, there's no bad blood between the two. After the credits is a title card of Kirby celebrating his victory with everyone, and at worst, Dedede only looks disappointed that he lost, but Kirby was kind enough to at least let Dedede have the crown that was on top of the cake. And I think that's what makes Dedede an interesting ally for Kirby. There's a side to him that wants to compete with Kirby and claim victory over him, but he's grown kind enough over several games to not have the friendly side of their friendly rivalry overshadowed. He's willing to help Kirby if he's at a disadvantage, or chooses to help him in his adventures. Even if he wouldn't like to admit it, Dedede does care about helping his allies, whether it's Kirby or any of the Waddle Dees. There will be times where Dedede challenges Kirby, but even so, that won't ever change the fact that King Dedede is one of Kirby's strongest and most valuable friends and allies. But, of course, this doesn't just apply to King Dedede. Like King Dedede, Meta Knight has more of a friendly rivalry with Kirby. Meta Knight is a chivalrous warrior who takes whatever chance he can to become stronger. But he also does what he can to take down any larger threats. The first time you see this can be as early as Kirby's adventure. Throughout Kirby's journey to fix the Star Rod, Meta Knight does what he can to both help and hinder Kirby's mission. He occasionally shows up to summon his minions onto Kirby, but will sometimes help Kirby get past certain obstacles. Eventually, he blocks the way to Rainbow Resort and gives Kirby the chance to arm himself with his own sword for a fair fight. Given Meta Knight's actions, it's more than likely that he's been trying to prepare Kirby for his eventual battle with Nightmare. He takes a bit of a more antagonistic role in Meta Knight's Revenge, where Meta Knight sets out to conquer Dreamland simply to end its lazy lifestyle. This leads to Kirby's second bout with Meta Knight, eventually losing once again to the Pink Hero. Given their history, it would make sense that, much like King Dedede, while they're close allies nowadays, deep down Meta Knight would want the chance to sell his own score with Kirby, which I'll talk a bit more about later. But more than that, Kirby's pretty much what Meta Knight looks for when it comes to wanting to become stronger. In Superstar Ultra, there's Meta Nightmare Ultra, a new mode where you play as the Knight himself. In Milky Way Wishes, Meta Knight himself reveals his desire to become stronger by facing and overcoming strong opponents. To grant this wish, Galactic Nova summons Galactic, the strongest warrior in the galaxy and the final boss of Meta Nightmare Ultra. Meta Knight's victory over Galactic Knight not only shows just how skilled and powerful of a warrior he is, but also how far he's willing to go to improve himself by fighting powerful opponents, and Kirby fits this desire of Meta Knight's. Meta Knight pretty much says this himself in Kirby Battle Royale. Meta Knight enters the competition for a chance to make himself stronger, but is disappointed at how easy the Kirby copies are. But he guarantees himself that Kirby can give him the test of strength he's looking for. Not a couple of copies, but the real thing standing right in front of him. After Meta Knight loses, DiggerandIndy is glad that he and Kirby managed to win against Meta Knight, even if their victory might have been a fluke. But Meta Knight disagrees with this, telling them that their strength was genuine, that vows to himself that he'll become stronger and that he'll be ready for Kirby in their next battle. He recognizes the strength and skill the duo showed him, enough to consider competing with Kirby again in the future, because Kirby is the perfect test of strength that Meta Knight's looking for, and why wouldn't he be? Kirby's triumphed over a variety of monstrous villains and powerful fighters, even Galactic Knight if you want to count Ultra's true arena. Kirby's both a great ally to Meta Knight and a perfect test of skill for Meta Knight to surpass, especially when it's possible that wanting to prepare himself for threats to Popstar is part of why Meta Knight wants to become stronger. Meta Knight does what he can to protect other people, like in Planet Robobot, where he immediately launches the Halberd when he sees the Hallman Works company invading Popstar. And in Forgotten Land, Meta Knight's staying behind in Waddle Dee Town, using his own strength to protect the Waddle Dees from the Beast Pack, while Kirby's going out and saving the rest of them. But even then, he still takes the chance to hone his strength and skills through having battles with Kirby in the arena, because as both a friend and a rival, Meta Knight has great trust in Kirby and his strength. For all the times they've faced each other in combat, they've also helped each other achieve the same goal of protecting Popstar. And much like Kirby, Meta Knight's also been caught off guard a few times and needed help from Kirby because of that. Meta Knight's not invincible, but he doesn't let that stop him from bettering his current self, because through Kirby, Meta Knight has someone who's both trustworthy as both an ally and a rival. Now, both Dedede and Meta Knight are serious when it comes to challenging Kirby and claiming victory over him. But instead of only one of them facing Kirby, what about when both the King and the Knight work together? At this time, Kirby Fighters 2 is King Dedede and Meta Knight's most recent attempt at challenging Kirby, and it's probably where Kirby's rivalry with King Dedede and Meta Knight is at its most intense. Kirby and a buddy of his have to fight their way to the top of a tower, or they'll eventually come face to face with both King Dedede and Meta Knight. Not that the two of them being in the same place is an uncommon thing, but this is the first time where both Dedede and Meta Knight are working together to overcome their rival. It shows just how much they recognize how powerful Kirby is, but also just how serious they are about proving their power to Kirby and triumphing over him. But throughout the tower climb, you're told that King Dedede and Meta Knight form a bond through their goal of facing Kirby together, and it's something you see whenever the duo are taking on Kirby. The first time you see the duo fighting together, one of their combos is Meta Knight wrapping King Dedede in his Mach Tornado for some extra damage. But once Kirby and his buddy reach the top of the tower, the duo utilize more of their combinations, like Dedede inhaling Meta Knight's clones to fire them as projectiles, and a special move where they spin around in the air, firing projectiles, then finish it off with a ground slam that sends out a giant blast. Even after they lose once, Dedede prepared a Maxim Tomato for themselves just to keep the fight going, and even give each other a determined nod. Of course, they do still end up losing to Kirby afterwards, but Dedede and Meta Knight have one more desperate trick up their sleeves. Kirby and his buddy climb the tower and confront the duo again, but instead of a Maxim Tomato, Dedede lends him and Meta Knight the Mask of Dark Bonds. They make the duo more powerful, but at the cost of losing control of themselves. Whether Dedede and Meta Knight knew the risk of using the mask or not is up for debate, but either way, Dedede and Meta Knight putting their powers together, resorting to the mask to increase their power, it further emphasizes how serious the two are about their friendly rivalry with Kirby, how much they want to prove that they're strong enough to settle the score with him. But most of all, the duo also gained more respect for each other. The two rivals joined together and lose, but after the battle, you learn that Dedede and Meta Knight would have been worthy opponents even without the mask, because their power came from the deepened bond the two share, a bond that developed from sharing a common goal, and doing everything in their power together to accomplish it. Sure, at this point it's clear as day that Kirby has more of a friendly rivalry type of relationship with Dedede and Meta Knight, with most of the focus being the friendly side of things, and we've seen how Kirby tends to interact with both allies. But what about between Dedede and Meta Knight themselves? Obviously there must be some trust between the two, otherwise we wouldn't have games prior to Fires 2 where both of them join Kirby in his adventures. But outside of maybe the celebration art and Star Allies, and media outside of the games, you don't often see the characters forming some kind of relationship or bond with each other outside of Kirby himself in the games. And I think part of that is what helps make Dedede and Meta Knight's team up one of the most memorable and standout parts of Kirby Fighters 2. At this point in the franchise, Dedede and Meta Knight are one of Kirby's main allies, whether it's just one of them helping out or both of them. Kirby shares a bond with the two as friendly rivals, but seeing those main allies also developing a bond with each other helps emphasize that aspect more. You get to see their trust, not just in Kirby, but also in each other. But do let me know what you think of King Dedede, Meta Knight, and characters forming relationships with each other outside of Kirby. Also, if you like analysis videos on Kirby or Nintendo games in general and really want to see more, please do leave a like to help spread this video out and subscribe to stay updated on when more will come in the future. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching all the way through, and I hope I'll see you again next time. Take care, everyone.